The morning mist clung to the Kandahar training grounds like a shroud, obscuring the distant targets that dotted the barren landscape. Staff Sergeant Marcus Chen adjusted his position behind the Barrett M82A1, feeling the familiar weight of skeptical eyes upon him. At 5 feet 6 inches and, weighing barely 140 pounds, he cut an unimpressive figure among the towering Special Forces operators who surrounded him. His quiet demeanor and unassuming presence had earned him a reputation as competent but unremarkable, a soldier who followed orders without complaint but rarely distinguished himself. The other snipers spoke in hushed tones about their previous kills, their voices carrying the swagger that came with confirmed eliminations at distances exceeding 2 kilometers. Chen listened in silence, cleaning his rifle with methodical precision. He had heard the whispered conversations about how he had been selected for the elite sniper program despite lacking the typical profile of a marksman. No imposing physical presence, no boastful stories of hunting expeditions, no family legacy of military service. Just consistent scores on the range and an uncanny ability to remain calm under pressure. Major Harrison, the unit commander, approached Chen's position with the measured gait of a man who had seen too many wars. His weathered face bore the scars of 2 decades in special operations, and his gray eyes held the weight of countless difficult decisions. The other snipers straightened as he passed, but Chen continued his methodical rifle maintenance, acknowledging the officer's presence with a subtle nod. "Chen, you're up for the long-range qualification," Harrison announced, his voice carrying across the morning air. "Target at 2,400 meters. Winds picking up from the northeast at 12 knots, gusting to 18. The qualification shot was a rite of passage for the unit, a test that separated the merely skilled from the truly exceptional. Success would earn Chen a place among the elite marksmen, failure would likely result in his reassignment to conventional forces. He had observed dozens of attempts over the previous months, watching as some of the most accomplished snipers in the military missed by margins that seemed impossibly small yet were absolutely fatal in combat. Chen rose slowly, shouldering his rifle with practiced ease. His movements were economical, lacking the theatrical flourishes that some snipers employed for psychological effect. He simply walked to the designated firing position, set up his bipod, and began the methodical process of calculating the shot. Wind speed, atmospheric pressure, temperature gradients, humidity, each variable required precise consideration and adjustment. Through his scope, the target appeared as a barely visible speck against the brown landscape. At nearly 2.5 kilometers, it represented the outer limits of practical sniper engagement, where the slightest miscalculation would send the bullet harmlessly into the earth or whistling over the target entirely. Chen's breathing slowed to the deep, rhythmic pattern he had perfected through countless hours of practice. His heart rate decreased as he entered the meditative state that separated exceptional marksmen from merely good shooters. The other snipers gathered behind him, some offering encouragement while others made subtle bets on the outcome. Sergeant Miller, a veteran of 3 combat deployments with 17 confirmed kills, stood with arms crossed, his expression skeptical. "Kid's got the mechanics down," he murmured to his companion, "but this distance separates the men from the boys. Takes more than textbook knowledge to make a shot like this." Chen's finger found the trigger, applying pressure with microscopic precision. His world narrowed to the reticle, the target, and the space between heartbeats where his body achieved perfect stillness. Years of training had taught him to fire during the natural respiratory pause, that moment of absolute calm between exhale and inhale when the body's involuntary movements reached their minimum. The rifle bucked against his shoulder with tremendous force, the muzzle brake redirecting gases with a concussive blast that sent dust swirling around his position. The supersonic crack of the bullet's passage was followed by several seconds of silence as the projectile traveled its ballistic arc toward the distant target. Everyone present understood the mathematics involved. At that distance, the bullet would take nearly 4 seconds to reach its destination, during which wind, gravity, and atmospheric conditions would all conspire to deflect it from its intended path. The spotting scope confirmed what Chen already knew in his bones: a perfect center hit. The target, struck dead center, validated months of preparation and study. But the reaction from his peers was muted, polite applause that carried an undertone of reluctant acknowledgement rather than genuine enthusiasm. He had passed the test, but, in doing so, had only proven himself adequate to the minimum standard expected of the unit. Colonel Thompson, the base commander, reviewed Chen's file that evening in his Spartan office.
The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across the accumulated paperwork that documented the young soldier's career.
Exemplary service record, consistently high marks in marksmanship training, commendations for reliability and professionalism. Yet something was missing from the profile, the intangible quality that separated competent soldiers from legendary warriors.
"Chen's technically proficient," Thompson remarked to Major Harrison, who sat across from his desk reviewing personnel assignments.
"His scores are consistently in the top 10%, his equipment maintenance is flawless, and he's never missed a training exercise. But he lacks the killer instinct that defines our best operators.
He's a technician when we need an artist."
Harrison nodded thoughtfully, remembering his own early years in special operations when he had struggled to prove himself among more experienced warriors.
Perhaps he just needs the right opportunity to prove himself.
Combat has a way of revealing qualities that training can't measure. The conversation was interrupted by a knock on the door. Lieutenant Foster entered with a folder marked with the red classification tabs that indicated operational intelligence. His face bore the grim expression of a man delivering unwelcome news. "Sir, we've received new intelligence regarding the situation in the Helmand Valley. The target we've been tracking for the past 6 months has been located, but the operational window is extremely narrow.
The geography and timing make this a long-range engagement scenario."
Thompson accepted the folder and began reviewing its contents.
Satellite imagery showed a remote compound nestled in a valley surrounded by steep ridgelines.
Intelligence indicated that a high-value target, a bomb maker responsible for dozens of coalition casualties, would be present at the location for less than 12 hours. The topography made conventional assault impossible without alerting the entire network of insurgents in the region.
"What's the engagement distance?"
Harrison asked, studying the terrain maps over Thompson's shoulder.
4,700 meters, sir.
Possibly the longest operational shot ever attempted. The target will be exposed for approximately 30 seconds during a scheduled meeting.
One opportunity, one shot. The room fell silent as the implications became clear.
Such a distance pushed far beyond the established limits of sniper doctrine.
Environmental factors would be magnified exponentially, requiring calculations of unprecedented precision.
The slightest error in wind estimation, atmospheric pressure reading, or range determination would result in a complete miss and the loss of months of intelligence work. Thompson leaned back in his chair, considering the options.
"Who do we have capable of making this shot?" "Honestly, sir, I'm not certain anyone is.
Sergeant Miller has the most combat experience, but his longest confirmed kill is 2,100 meters. Corporal Rodriguez has exceptional skills, but he's recovering from a shoulder injury that might affect his shooting position. The truth is, this distance exceeds anything we've trained for." Harrison studied the mission parameters again, noting the wind patterns and elevation changes that would affect bullet trajectory.
"What about Chen?"
"His technical knowledge is superior to anyone else in the unit, and his scores indicate exceptional precision at extended ranges."
Thompson's expression remained skeptical. "This isn't a training exercise, Major.
We're talking about a combat situation with no margin for error.
Chen may have the technical skills, but does he have the mental fortitude for an operational shot of this magnitude?"
The question hung in the air, unanswered but critical to the mission's success. Chen's reputation as a competent but unremarkable soldier would be put to the ultimate test against a target that had eluded capture for months while continuing to orchestrate attacks against coalition forces. The briefing room filled with tension as the mission details were presented to the assembled sniper team. Maps covered every available surface, showing elevation profiles, wind patterns, and potential observation positions.
Chen sat quietly in the back row, absorbing every detail while his teammates asked technical questions about equipment and support requirements.
The target, known by the codename Blacksmith, had been responsible for manufacturing the improvised explosive devices that had killed or maimed over 40 coalition personnel. His bomb-making expertise had evolved over several years, incorporating increasingly sophisticated triggering mechanisms and explosive compounds. Intelligence indicated he would be meeting with regional commanders to distribute new device designs, making his elimination critical to disrupting the entire network. The observation post will be established here, Lieutenant Foster indicated on the map, approximately 4,700 meters from the target compound.
The shooting position offers excellent concealment and multiple egress routes, but the distance exceeds our standard operating procedures.
Weather conditions are forecast to be stable, with moderate winds from the northwest.
Chen raised his hand slowly, his voice barely audible when he spoke. Sir, has atmospheric pressure been factored into the ballistic calculations?
At that elevation and distance, density altitude could affect bullet trajectory by several feet. The question demonstrated the depth of Chen's technical understanding, but also highlighted his inexperience with operational decision-making.
Foster consulted his notes before responding. Atmospheric conditions have been calculated using the most recent meteorological data available. However, real-time adjustments will be necessary based on field observations.
The mission timeline allowed for 18 hours of preparation and movement to the shooting position. The team would establish overwatch before dawn, with the engagement window opening at approximately 1,400 hours local time.
Extraction would commence immediately following the shot, regardless of outcome, as the remote location would become untenable once insurgent forces began searching for the sniper position.
As the briefing concluded, Chen approached Foster with additional questions about wind measurement techniques and range verification procedures. His thorough preparation impressed the lieutenant, but also revealed the methodical nature that some viewed as lacking in aggressive instinct.
Chen, this isn't a training exercise, Foster reminded him quietly.
Combat situations require adaptability and quick decision-making. Your technical knowledge is valuable, but it needs to be balanced with operational awareness and the ability to function under extreme pressure. Chen nodded respectfully, but his expression remained unchanged. He had spent years perfecting his craft through study and practice, believing that thorough preparation would eventually be recognized and rewarded.
The upcoming mission represented his opportunity to prove that technical excellence could triumph over raw talent and aggressive personality.
That evening, Chen meticulously prepared his equipment in the solitude of his quarters. Each component was inspected, tested, and arranged with scientific precision. His rifle, a customized version of the standard Barrett M82A1, had been modified with specialized optics and a precision trigger group. The ammunition, match-grade .50 caliber rounds, had been individually weighed and measured to ensure consistent performance. His logbook contained detailed records of previous shots, environmental conditions, and performance data. Years of accumulated knowledge filled the pages with calculations, diagrams, and observations that would inform his approach to the unprecedented engagement distance. Chen understood that his preparation represented his primary advantage over more experienced snipers who relied heavily on intuition and combat experience.
The pre-mission briefing included meteorological forecasts that would affect the bullet's 4-second flight time to the target.
Temperature inversions, wind shear, and atmospheric pressure variations all required consideration in the ballistic solution. Chen studied each variable with academic intensity, creating backup calculations for different scenarios that might develop during the actual engagement. Sleep came fitfully, interrupted by mental rehearsals of the shot sequence and potential complications. Chen had learned to manage pre-mission anxiety through breathing exercises and visualization techniques, but the magnitude of the upcoming challenge tested his emotional control. He understood that failure would not only result in mission failure but would likely confirm the assessment that he lacked the qualities necessary for elite operations. The transport helicopter lifted off before dawn, carrying the sniper team toward their insertion point several kilometers from the target area. Chen sat quietly among his teammates, reviewing his calculations one final time while the aircraft navigated through the mountain valleys using night vision and terrain-following radar. The other snipers engaged in the casual conversation that helped manage pre-mission tension, but Chen remained focused on the technical challenges ahead. The insertion proceeded without incident, and the team moved carefully through the rugged terrain toward their observation position. Chen carried his equipment with the same methodical care he applied to everything else, ensuring that his rifle remained protected from the dust and debris that could affect accuracy. The approach march required 3 hours of careful movement through enemy territory, with constant awareness of potential observation or patrol activity. The shooting position offered excellent concealment among the rocky outcroppings that characterized the region. Chen established his firing point with geometric precision, calculating angles and ensuring his rifle was oriented correctly relative to magnetic north. The target compound appeared as a barely visible collection of structures in the distance, magnified through high-powered optics to reveal details of the surrounding terrain. Range verification using laser rangefinders confirmed the distance at 4,698 meters, requiring minor adjustments to Chen's pre-calculated ballistic solution. Atmospheric pressure readings indicated stable conditions, with temperature gradually rising as the morning progressed.
Wind measurement required continuous attention, as conditions could change rapidly in the mountain environment.
The waiting began, a test of patience and mental discipline that separated effective snipers from those who cracked under pressure. Chen's teammates established security positions while he refined his ballistic calculations based on real-time environmental data. His methodical approach impressed the team leader, though some questioned whether his academic mindset would translate to effective combat performance. As 1,400 hours approached, tension increased perceptibly among the team members. Intelligence updates confirmed that the target was present in the compound and that the meeting was proceeding as scheduled. Chen's breathing remained controlled, his heart rate steady despite the magnitude of the shot he was preparing to attempt. Years of training had prepared him for this moment, yet nothing could completely eliminate the pressure of knowing that success or failure would define his military career. The target appeared exactly as intelligence had predicted, emerging from the main building accompanied by two other individuals. Through his scope, Chen could observe the small group moving toward a secondary structure where the meeting was scheduled to take place. The engagement window would open in approximately 90 seconds, providing the narrow opportunity that months of intelligence gathering had created. Chen's finger found the trigger as he began the final sequence of his shot preparation. 4,700 meters represented a distance that challenged the fundamental limits of rifle accuracy, requiring calculations and adjustments that pushed human and equipment capabilities to their maximum extent. The bullet would take nearly 4 seconds to reach its target, during which time Earth's rotation, wind drift, and gravitational drop would all affect its trajectory. His breathing slowed to the deep, rhythmic pattern that maximized physiological stillness. Through his scope, the target appeared sharp and clear despite the tremendous distance involved. Chen's world narrowed to the precision reticle, the distant figure, and the mathematical certainty that his calculations were correct. This was the moment that would validate years of preparation and study, the opportunity to prove that technical excellence could achieve what others considered impossible. The minutes stretched toward the critical moment when target exposure would provide the opportunity for engagement. Chen's teammates maintained security positions while monitoring radio communications for any changes to the mission parameters. The weight of expectation pressed down on everyone present, understanding that they were witnessing an attempt at what might be the longest successful sniper engagement in military history. Through his scope, Chen observed the target moving with the casual confidence of someone unaware that death was calculating his position from nearly 5 kilometers away. The bomb maker who had caused so much destruction and suffering appeared as nothing more than a distant figure through the magnified optics, yet Chen understood the significance of this single shot for the broader conflict and for his own future in special operations. Part 2, The Mathematics of Death. The crosshairs settled on the target with surgical precision as Chen entered the final phase of shot preparation. 4,700 meters stretched between his rifle and the bomb maker who had orchestrated countless attacks against coalition forces. The distance exceeded established doctrine by nearly a kilometer, pushing into territory where environmental factors would magnify every minor miscalculation into mission failure. Chen's left hand made microscopic adjustments to his scope's elevation turret, compensating for the ballistic drop that would cause his bullet to fall nearly 40 feet during its 4-second flight. His calculations accounted for the .50 caliber projectile's ballistic coefficient, muzzle velocity, and the atmospheric conditions that would affect its trajectory. Temperature at 78 degrees Fahrenheit, barometric pressure at 26.42 inches of mercury, humidity at 34%. Each variable had been measured and incorporated into equations that would determine success or failure. The wind presented the most complex challenge. At the shooting position, Chen measured a gentle northwest breeze at 8 knots. However, the bullet's extended flight path would carry it through multiple wind zones, each potentially deflecting the projectile from its intended course.
His calculations estimated wind drift at approximately 6 feet, but this assumed consistent conditions across the entire trajectory, an assumption that experience had taught him to question. Through his scope, Chen observed heat shimmer rising from the valley floor, indicating thermal updrafts that could affect bullet flight. The morning sun was warming the rocky terrain, creating convection currents that would influence the projectile's path in ways that couldn't be precisely calculated. He made a mental note to compensate slightly for thermal effects, trusting his instincts to fill the gaps left by mathematical calculation. His breathing patterns synchronized with the natural rhythm that maximized shooting stability. Chen had practiced this technique for thousands of hours, learning to fire during the respiratory pause when his body achieved temporary stillness. His heart rate remained steady at 62 beats per minute, well within the optimal range for precision shooting. The years of physical conditioning and mental discipline were converging into this single moment of truth. The target moved with deliberate purpose across the compound, unaware that sophisticated optics were tracking his every step. Intelligence had provided detailed information about his daily routines, but the actual engagement window would last only seconds once he entered the optimal position for the shot. Chen followed the figure through his scope, noting the man's posture and movement patterns while maintaining perfect rifle stability. Major Harrison monitored the situation through his own optics, observing both the target area and Chen's shooting position. The young sergeant's methodical approach impressed him, but questions remained about his ability to execute under combat pressure. Training scenarios, no matter how realistic, couldn't replicate the psychological weight of taking a human life at record-breaking distance. Success would require not just technical skill, but the mental fortitude to perform flawlessly when everything was at stake. Chen's spotter, Corporal Williams, provided continuous environmental updates while maintaining security awareness. Wind steady at 8 knots northwest, temperature rising to 81 degrees, pressure holding stable. Target approaching optimal position in 30 seconds. His voice carried the tension that everyone felt but tried to suppress. The mathematical precision required for this shot bordered on the impossible. Chen's bullet would travel at approximately 2,800 feet per second, covering the 4,700-meter distance in 3.8 seconds. During that time, Earth's rotation would deflect the projectile eastward by approximately 2 inches, a seemingly minor factor that could mean the difference between success and failure. His calculations incorporated this Coriolis effect along with dozens of other variables that influenced long-range accuracy. Atmospheric density variations presented another challenge. The bullet would travel through air layers of different temperatures and pressures, each affecting its velocity and trajectory. Chen's ballistic computer provided baseline calculations, but real-world conditions often deviated from theoretical models. His experience told him to trust his preparation while remaining ready to compensate for unexpected factors. The target paused near the entrance to the secondary building, exactly where intelligence had predicted. Through his scope, Chen could observe the man's face clearly despite the tremendous distance, a testament to the sophisticated optics that made such engagement possible. The bombmaker appeared relaxed, discussing something with his companions while completely unaware that death was being calibrated with scientific precision from nearly 5 kilometers away. Chen's finger applied initial pressure to the trigger, taking up the slack while maintaining perfect sight alignment. His scope's reticle remained rock-steady on the target's center mass, compensated for range, wind, and atmospheric conditions through calculations that had consumed hours of preparation. Everything depended on the next few seconds, years of training, mission success, and his own military future balanced on the edge of a single trigger pull. The radio crackled with confirmation that all supporting elements were in position. Extraction routes had been verified, security positions were maintained, and medical evacuation assets stood ready if needed. The entire operation had been orchestrated to support this single shot, with dozens of personnel contributing to the success of Chen's unprecedented attempt. Time seemed to slow as Chen entered the final phase of shot execution. His breathing ceased at the natural respiratory pause, his heart rate stabilized, and his muscular tension reached the optimal level for maximum precision. The target stood motionless for a moment, providing the stationary presentation that long-range shooting required. This was the moment Chen had prepared for throughout his military career, the opportunity to prove that technical excellence could achieve what others considered impossible. The trigger broke with crystal-clear precision, releasing the firing pin to detonate the carefully selected cartridge. 50 grains of propellant exploded with controlled violence, accelerating the 750-grain projectile to supersonic velocity within the rifle's 29-inch barrel. The tremendous recoil drove the weapon backward against Chen's shoulder while the muzzle brake redirected propellant gases to minimize barrel rise. The bullet emerged from the muzzle at 2,810 feet per second, beginning its ballistic arc toward the distant target. Weighing just over an ounce and a half, the projectile carried tremendous kinetic energy, nearly 13,000 foot-pounds, sufficient to neutralize any human target upon impact. Its aerodynamic design allowed it to maintain supersonic velocity throughout most of its flight, though atmospheric drag would gradually reduce its speed over the extended distance. Chen remained motionless behind his rifle, maintaining perfect sight picture while his spotter tracked the bullet's impact through high-powered optics. At 4,700 meters, the projectile's flight time exceeded the reaction time of human observation, creating a surreal pause between shot and result. Everyone present understood they were witnessing either historic success or spectacular failure. There would be no middle ground at such extreme range. The bullet's trajectory carried it through multiple atmospheric layers as it arced toward the target compound. At maximum ordinate, approximately 220 feet above the line of sight, it encountered wind conditions different from those at ground level. Chen's calculations had estimated these variations, but precision at such distance required elements of educated guesswork that couldn't be eliminated through preparation alone. Gravitational acceleration pulled the projectile earthward throughout its flight, causing a ballistic drop that Chen had compensated for through scope adjustment. The bullet would strike approximately 40 feet below its initial aiming point if all calculations proved accurate. Wind drift represented a greater challenge, as crosswinds could deflect the projectile horizontally by several feet if conditions varied from his estimates. Through his scope, Chen watched the target area with intense concentration, knowing that impact should occur within moments. The mathematical certainty of his calculations competed with the inevitable doubt that accompanied any shot at the limits of possibility. Years of training had prepared him for this moment, yet nothing could completely eliminate the uncertainty that defined extreme long-range engagements. The projectile maintained supersonic velocity for most of its journey, creating a sonic boom that would be audible at the target location if anyone knew to listen for it. However, the bullet would arrive before the sound of Chen's rifle shot, providing no warning to the intended target. This temporal displacement was one of many factors that made long-range sniping such an effective military tactic. Atmospheric pressure variations along the bullet's path affected its trajectory in subtle but potentially significant ways. Dense air at lower altitudes provided greater resistance than the thinner atmosphere at higher elevations. Chen's calculations incorporated average atmospheric conditions, but localized variations could still influence the shot's outcome. His training taught him to accept these uncontrollable factors while maximizing precision in areas he could influence. The target remained stationary as the bullet completed its ballistic arc, still unaware that his life hung in the balance of calculations made nearly 5 kilometers away. Intelligence had provided detailed information about his daily routines, but the actual moment of truth depended on factors beyond anyone's control. The intersection of bullet and target would determine whether months of preparation had been worthwhile. Corporal Williams maintained continuous observation through his spotting scope, ready to call corrections if a follow-up shot became necessary. However, everyone understood that the engagement window would close immediately after the first shot, regardless of outcome. The remote location and limited extraction assets made multiple attempts impossible. Success or failure would be determined by this single projectile. The bullet's ballistic coefficient allowed it to maintain accuracy despite the tremendous distance involved. Chen had selected match-grade ammunition specifically manufactured for precision shooting, with tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch. The projectile's boat-tail design minimized atmospheric drag while its weight provided stability against wind deflection. Every technical factor had been optimized for this unprecedented shot. Time seemed suspended as the projectile approached its target. Chen's calculations indicated that impact should occur 3.82 seconds after firing, but the subjective experience of waiting stretched far beyond objective measurement. His entire military career had led to this moment, the ultimate test of whether technical expertise could overcome the limitations that others accepted as insurmountable. The mathematics of death were precise and unforgiving.
bullet energy at impact would exceed 8,000 foot-pounds despite the extended range, more than sufficient to achieve the mission objective. The projectile's design ensured reliable terminal performance, with expansion characteristics optimized for immediate incapacitation. Success depended not on the bullet's lethality but on Chen's ability to place it accurately across nearly 3 miles of intervening space.
Environmental factors continued to influence the projectile throughout its flight.
Crosswinds of varying intensity pushed against the bullet's passage, while thermal effects created updrafts and downdrafts that could deflect its trajectory. Chen's preparation had accounted for average conditions, but the reality of long-range shooting involved countless variables that couldn't be precisely predicted or controlled. The target's casual demeanor provided stark contrast to the life-or-death calculation occurring in the distance. His expertise in bomb-making had caused tremendous suffering among coalition forces, but he moved through his daily routine without apparent concern for personal security. The remote location of his compound had provided protection from conventional assault, but it couldn't shield him from the mathematical precision of a sniper operating at the limits of possibility. Chen's rifle remained perfectly stable as he awaited the shot's outcome. His training emphasized maintaining sight picture after firing to observe bullet impact and prepare for potential follow-up shots. However, the extreme distance made visual confirmation challenging even through high-powered optics. The result would become apparent within seconds, but those seconds stretched like hours under the weight of accumulated expectation. The projectile completed its ballistic arc with scientific inevitability, carrying the accumulated force of Chen's preparation toward its mathematically predetermined destination. Gravity, wind, atmospheric density, and dozens of other factors had influenced its path, but the fundamental accuracy depended on calculations made with slide rule precision in an age of digital technology. Success would validate Chen's approach to military excellence, while failure would confirm his critics' assessment of his limitations. As the bullet approached terminal velocity at the target location, its energy remained devastating despite the extended flight. The projectile's design ensured reliable performance across the full range of engagement distances, maintaining lethal effectiveness even at the theoretical limits of rifle accuracy. Chen's selection of ammunition represented years of research into ballistic performance, choosing the optimal combination of weight, velocity, and terminal characteristics for extreme-range engagements. The moment of impact arrived with mechanical precision, determining whether months of intelligence gathering and mission preparation would achieve their intended objective.
Chen's unprecedented shot would either establish new standards for sniper capability or demonstrate the limitations that constrained conventional doctrine.
The target's fate, the mission's success, and Chen's military future all converged in the space of a single heartbeat. Part 3, The Geometry of Redemption. The bullet struck with surgical precision, impacting exactly where Chen's calculations had predicted. Through his spotting scope, Corporal Williams observed the target collapse instantly, the tremendous kinetic energy of the .50 caliber projectile achieving immediate incapacitation despite the record-breaking distance. The mathematical certainty of Chen's preparation had overcome every environmental variable, atmospheric condition, and ballistic challenge to deliver lethal accuracy across 4,700 meters of hostile territory. "Target down," Williams reported quietly, his voice carrying a mixture of professional satisfaction and genuine awe.
The achievement represented more than mission success. It demonstrated capabilities that pushed sniper doctrine into previously theoretical territory.
Chen had accomplished what military experts considered impossible, establishing new benchmarks for long-range precision while eliminating a high-value target who had evaded capture for months. Chen remained motionless behind his rifle for several additional seconds, maintaining perfect shooting position while processing the magnitude of his achievement. The target who had orchestrated countless attacks against coalition forces would manufacture no more explosive devices. Months of intelligence gathering, mission planning, and technical preparation had culminated in a single shot that validated every hour of study and practice throughout his military career. Major Harrison observed the target area through his own optics, confirming the successful engagement while monitoring for enemy reaction. The remote compound showed no immediate signs of alarm, suggesting that the shot's origin remained undetected. The combination of distance and terrain provided excellent concealment for the sniper team, but extraction would commence immediately to avoid potential compromise once insurgent forces began investigating the incident.
The radio crackled with confirmation from supporting units that extraction assets were moving to the predetermined pickup zone. Chen began the methodical process of securing his equipment, disassembling his rifle with the same systematic care he applied to everything else. The mission's success had validated his technical approach, but military doctrine required immediate departure from any shooting position once it had been used operationally. "Outstanding shot, Chen," Harrison said quietly as the team prepared to move. "That's the longest confirmed kill in military history. Your preparation and execution were flawless." The major's praise carried the weight of professional recognition from someone who had witnessed thousands of combat engagements throughout his career. Chen accepted the acknowledgement with characteristic modesty, focusing on equipment preparation rather than celebrating his unprecedented achievement. His personality remained unchanged despite accomplishing something that would be studied in military academies for decades to come. The successful shot represented validation of his approach rather than transformation of his fundamental character. The movement to the extraction point required 2 hours of careful navigation through enemy territory. Chen carried his equipment with the same protective attention he had maintained throughout the mission, ensuring that his rifle remained secure despite the urgency of departure. His teammates now viewed him with the respect accorded to someone who had proven himself under ultimate pressure. The helicopter extraction proceeded without incident, lifting the sniper team away from the operational area as insurgent forces began discovering the aftermath of Chen's shot. Intelligence intercepts later revealed significant disruption to the bomb-making network, with several planned attacks cancelled due to the loss of technical expertise that couldn't be immediately replaced. During the flight back to base, Chen reviewed his logbook entries while his teammates processed the magnitude of what they had witnessed. The successful engagement at 4,700 meters exceeded the previous record by nearly 800 meters, representing a quantum leap in demonstrated sniper capability. Military historians would analyze every aspect of the shot for decades, but Chen was already calculating improvements for future engagements. The debriefing session lasted several hours as intelligence officers documented every detail of the mission for analysis and doctrine development. Chen's methodical preparation had created extensive documentation that would inform future long-range engagements, establishing new standards for equipment, training, and tactical employment. His technical approach had proven that scientific precision could overcome limitations that others accepted as insurmountable. Colonel Thompson conducted the final assessment of mission success, reviewing both the immediate tactical results and broader strategic implications. The elimination of the bomb maker had disrupted an entire network of insurgent activities while demonstrating capabilities that would influence enemy behavior throughout the region. Chen's achievement had tactical, strategic, and psychological impacts that extended far beyond the single shot. "Chen, your performance today has redefined what we consider possible in sniper operations," Thompson stated during the formal debriefing. "The technical expertise and mental discipline you demonstrated under pressure represent the highest standards of military excellence. This achievement will influence sniper doctrine for years to come." The recognition represented vindication for Chen's approach to military service, proving that technical mastery could achieve results that raw talent and aggressive personality couldn't match. His quiet dedication to improvement through study and practice had culminated in an achievement that would be remembered long after more flamboyant personalities had been forgotten. News of the record-breaking shot spread quickly through military channels, generating interest from sniper schools, special operations units, and defense contractors seeking to understand the technical factors that had enabled such unprecedented accuracy. Chen found himself invited to speak at conferences and training seminars, though he approached these opportunities with the same methodical preparation he applied to everything else. The Barrett M82A1 rifle that had delivered the fatal shot was submitted for technical analysis to determine what modifications had contributed to its exceptional performance. Chen's equipment optimization represented years of incremental improvements, each adjustment tested and validated through countless hours of range time. His approach to gear preparation became a model for other precision shooters seeking maximum accuracy. Ballistic analysis of the shot revealed that Chen's calculations had been accurate within centimeters despite the tremendous distance involved. His estimation of wind effects, atmospheric conditions, and trajectory had demonstrated mathematical precision that impressed even experienced marksmen.
The technical documentation he had maintained throughout his career provided unprecedented insight into long-range shooting methodology. The psychological impact of the achievement extended beyond military circles, inspiring soldiers who had been dismissed as unremarkable to pursue excellence through dedication and preparation. Chen's success demonstrated that natural talent, while valuable, couldn't substitute for the disciplined pursuit of technical mastery. His story became a case study in how quiet professionalism could achieve extraordinary results. Military doctrine evolved to incorporate lessons learned from Chen's unprecedented shot, with new emphasis placed on technical preparation and environmental analysis for long-range engagements. Training programs began teaching calculation methods that Chen had developed through personal study, elevating mathematical precision to the same level as marksmanship skills in sniper education. The insurgent network's reaction to their leader's elimination provided intelligence insights into enemy organizational structure and operational security. Chen's single shot had created disruption that extended far beyond the immediate target, demonstrating how precision application of force could achieve strategic objectives more effectively than conventional military operations. Equipment manufacturers sought to understand the specific modifications that had enabled Chen's success, leading to improvements in rifle design, optics technology, and ammunition development. His technical approach to gear optimization influenced product development across the defense industry, with emphasis shifting toward precision and reliability over flashy features. Chen's promotion to staff sergeant came with assignment to the military's most elite sniper training facility, where his technical expertise would be used to develop the next generation of precision marksmen. His transition from underestimated soldier to military legend demonstrated the transformative power of dedication, preparation, and unwavering commitment to excellence. The psychological transformation that accompanied Chen's achievement was subtle but profound. His quiet confidence remained unchanged, but the respect of his peers provided validation that had been absent throughout his early career. He had proven that technical mastery could overcome any limitation imposed by physical stature or personality type. Years later, military historians would analyze every aspect of the 4,700-meter shot, studying wind calculations, ballistic data, and psychological factors that had enabled such unprecedented accuracy. Chen's methodical documentation provided researchers with detailed insight into the technical preparation required for extreme-range shooting, establishing new standards for precision marksmanship. The target's elimination had prevented dozens of planned attacks, saving countless lives among coalition forces and civilian populations. Intelligence analysis revealed that the bomb maker's expertise had been irreplaceable, forcing the insurgent network to reduce their operational tempo significantly. Chen's single shot had achieved strategic objectives that conventional military operations had failed to accomplish. Training facilities worldwide began incorporating Chen's techniques into their curricula, emphasizing mathematical preparation and environmental analysis alongside traditional marksmanship skills. His approach to long-range shooting became the gold standard for precision marksmen, influencing military doctrine for decades to come. The personal satisfaction Chen derived from his achievement came not from public recognition but from the knowledge that his preparation had proven sufficient for the ultimate test. His years of study and practice had culminated in a moment of perfect execution under conditions that would have overwhelmed less dedicated personnel. The shot represented vindication of his belief that technical excellence could overcome any obstacle. Chen's story became legendary among military snipers, demonstrating that quiet professionalism and methodical preparation could achieve results that surpassed natural talent and aggressive personality. His example inspired countless soldiers to pursue excellence through dedication rather than relying on innate abilities or favorable circumstances. The strategic implications of demonstrating such extreme-range capability extended beyond immediate tactical advantages, influencing enemy behavior throughout the region. Insurgent leaders became more cautious about exposure, limiting their operational effectiveness while increasing security requirements that consumed resources and reduced flexibility. Military leadership recognized that Chen's achievement represented more than individual excellence. It demonstrated the importance of supporting technical development and rewarding systematic preparation. His success validated investment in advanced training, precision equipment, and scientific approaches to military problems. The 4,700-meter shot established new benchmarks for human performance under extreme pressure, proving that proper preparation could enable ordinary individuals to achieve extraordinary results. Chen's example became required study for military personnel across multiple specialties, demonstrating the universal applicability of his methodical approach to excellence. The legacy of that single shot extended far beyond military applications, inspiring professionals in diverse fields to pursue technical mastery through systematic study and preparation.
Chen's demonstration that quiet dedication could overcome perceived limitations resonated with anyone facing challenges that seemed beyond their capabilities.
In the years that followed, Chen continued refining his techniques while training others to achieve similar levels of precision. His approach to military excellence became institutionalized throughout sniper programs, ensuring that future generations would benefit from lessons learned through his unprecedented achievement. The man who had been underestimated throughout his early career had proven that technical mastery, methodical preparation, and unwavering dedication could overcome any limitation. The 4,700-meter shot remained a defining moment in military history, demonstrating that the intersection of human skill and technological capability could achieve results previously considered impossible. Chen's achievement stood as testament to the power of systematic preparation, proving that those who destroy their weak selves through dedication and discipline can never be destroyed by others. His legacy ensured that technical excellence would be recognized and rewarded, inspiring future generations to pursue mastery through the same methodical approach that had enabled his historic success. The man who had begun as an unremarkable soldier had transformed himself into a military legend through the simple act of refusing to accept limitations that others considered insurmountable. His achievement proved that technical excellence, properly applied under extreme pressure, could accomplish what raw talent and aggressive personality could not. The 4,700-meter shot had changed everything, not just for Chen, but for the entire understanding of what human beings could achieve when they committed themselves completely to the pursuit of perfection.